Trees and forests are what define this part of the country. They provide a host of benefits, like maintenance of ecosystems, biodiversity, recreation, and jobs. British Columbia's forests cover an area larger than France and Germany combined. It's a big part of the landscape, and it's a big part of life in the province. So the way the biomass industry fits into the larger forest industry is exclusively as a user of residual products. Prior to wood pellet manufacturing, a lot of the processing residues that were generated in sawmills were burnt in beehive burners. What the wood pellet industry created was an outlet for that material.
Drax's sourcing procedures aim to maximize the value of each tree by creating a market for unsuitable residual wood left over when timber is processed.
We're at an active log deck, so they take a whole log and they do cuts trying to emphasize the highest value products they can. There's no economic rationale where you could rationalize putting those high value logs into pellets. The product that we focus on is what'll be left behind, the limbs and the top logs and any sections of logs that had to be cut out because of defect.
If you take a close look at this material, the undersized nature of this material doesn't make it usable for the sawmilling industry. Plus you have features like rot in the center of those trees. That can't make usable lumber for construction. So this material would typically get left out in the forest. Instead of getting left out in the forest and burnt, we bring it into our facility as roundwood, and we chip it up and use it for biomass.
British Columbia's forests are managed sustainably in partnership between government, local communities, and First Nations groups. The Sidel have managed forests in British Columbia for thousands of years. They are an important partner and continue to be an integral part of the decision-making process.
First Nations have to be involved in forest management. Our communities have lived out there for thousands of years, and these little communities rely heavily on the forest industry for employment, for jobs, for community wellness. Community-owned companies that carry out the forest management activities over these lands, so we are confident that the work has been done properly and the harvesting is done in a respectful way, making sure that things are preserved, that we want to look after these areas for the next generations to come.
In British Columbia, forests are not just a vital part of life for First Nations, but rural communities across the province.
Forestry has been very important, not only to my career, but my family that put food on our table and a roof over our head. I bet 95% of the people who live in a 2-kilometer radius to this mill depend on these forests.
What Drax and its pellet mills allow is it allows for the residents to actually stay in those rural communities and create a thriving community.
I've worked in the forest industry since 1990, specifically in the manufacturing of the forest industry sector. Forestry has been my career, and I think especially in some of these small communities, They really rely on the forest industry. I mean, it's the forest industry that built a lot of these communities.
For forests to sustain thriving communities, they need to remain healthy. This requires careful forest management, regeneration plans, and mitigation against fire and disease.
Without the biomass industry's participation, fire mitigation projects like this one would be less likely to occur. So this is a really good example of a fire mitigation project where they've thinned the overall structure of the stand so that there's less potential for fire to get up into the stand and create an unmanageable fire incident. By thinning the upper crown, they've also allowed light to penetrate down into the forest floor. And that will encourage the regrowth of shrubs and other species that are beneficial to animals.
What makes biomass pellets an important part of electricity systems is the fact that it's a stable, reliable source of renewable energy. At Drax, we aim for all of our operations to have nature, people, and climate positive outcome. This all depends on ensuring forests, like those we have here, are sustainably managed, so that as well as offering resources for industries and jobs for local communities, forests continue to grow and thrive for future generations.
By using biomass as an alternative to fossil fuels around the world, we're building a positive future for those generations while helping to tackle the climate emergency. But it all starts with sustainably managed forests.